This video has been made possible by Paradox Interactive. The development team would like to know how many of you play on console, so get involved and let yourself be heard by answering the poll by clicking the link in the description below. With the release of MegaCorp, Stellaris Console Edition is receiving a slew of new features that you have probably come accustomed to when it comes to major expansions. Now today, we'll be going over the new Empire types, their new features, and also how they play. First of all, though, it's important to note that setting up a mega corporation may not be all that straightforward. First of all, we will need to go to the Create a New Empire screen. Let's move over towards the Empire tab, and then under Authorities, scroll until we get to the mega corporation itself. Now, mega corporations by themselves are rather interesting because they have all sorts of interesting empire modifiers. They get a little bit of additional admin capacity. However, they are hit a lot harder by empire sprawl penalties. That means that if you are over your admin cap, you will get a larger malice, effectively. You will get a larger penalty on whatever you do. This could be the cost of leader upkeep, science, getting new traditions, etc. So please keep that in mind. It really means that corporate empires, until they get to the end game where they can start getting admin capacity bonuses through technology, or at least repeatables, they are really going to be playing tall for quite some time. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they are all that weak. First of all, the mega corporation does get a bunch of cool new things, and those are the civics. Now, the civics themselves are very interesting. They are very much focused around generating additional unity, trade value, etc. Now, mega corporations are all about said trade value, so being able to leverage that is a really good idea. There's also a couple of special civics that we will go into as well. First of all, though, brand loyalty, it increases monthly unity by 15%, which can be really nice if you're looking to bash through that tradition tree. Franchising, which is a special option which does something involving branch offices. Now, we will get into branch offices soon. However, basically what it does is it will decrease the cost of branch offices within your empire by 25%. If you're going to be building a lot of these, and I do highly recommend that you do, they are a core element of mega corporations that you will get franchising. Free traders, they once again increase trade value and also increase branch office value. It is, for me, effectively a #1 pick. They do have a couple of interesting quirks because trade value can be transitioned into consumer goods as well as unity bonuses through the policy screens. Then there is media conglomerate, which reduces war exhaustion as well as increases citizen happiness. If you're all about going to war and don't really want to have any issues with pops being exhausted by war and keeping them happy, the media conglomerate is very interesting. Private prospectors unlocks the private colony ship, which is effectively a ship that you can pay for with energy credits rather than the usual alloy, food, consumer goods combo, and it increases admin cap as well. If you are going out there into the game and you have quite a lot of planets, then yeah, doing private prospectors is very useful because you'll be able to colonize very, very quickly, very, very cheaply as well. Ruthless competition increases leader level cap by 1 and increases leader experience gain. If you want to make sure that you can offset some of your empire traits, or at least your species traits, this is a nice way of doing that because you can min-max your traits for reduced leader experience gain on your species, but with the civic you can then offset that. Trade post, it increases starbase capacity, very nice if you want to increase your fleets by having more fleet buildings on your star bases. Effectively, you can have 24 of those then because of the additional star bases, which is really nice, at least as soon as you get citadels. Then we have indentured assets, which increases slave output, but also enslaves your population for 40%. And you can only get this if you are somewhat authoritarian. Now, slaves in this particular case basically means that you will be able to run a slave empire, but always at every single time 40% of your population will be enslaved. Naval contractors increases your naval capacity. It's very nice in combination with media conglomerate, and private military companies, as in PMCs, is a army civic. I don't think you necessarily need to pay all that much attention to this one. However, let's go and take a quick look at the special ones that we skipped over. Criminal heritage is a fascinating little civic. Basically what it does is it allows you to create very specialized empires that build themselves around crime. They cannot form commercial pacts. Commercial pacts is something that you need in the game in order to get a branch office. We will talk about that later. They cannot join federations, and all their branch office buildings increase crime on the planet. And that's really interesting because the more crime there is, the more powerful they are. You can combine this or run in separate the gospel of the masses, where effectively all your spiritualist pops will give additional trade value. Spiritualist pops in this particular case is then the ethics of said pops. It's really, really powerful in case you want to get a lot of trade value, and on top of that you can build the Temple of Prosperity corporate building. In addition, getting additional spiritualist ethics attraction is really, really nice because it allows you to transition all your pops to spiritualists to get even more trade value that you can then convert into money, consumer goods, or unity. And that is pretty much it. You can combine Gospel of the Masses with Criminal Heritage to get a criminal mega church, which I think is really, really awesome. However, you want to keep in mind that some of these can be a little bit difficult to work with, especially criminal heritage. If you have branch offices on worlds that are not yours, which is pretty standard, the enemy, or at least the empire that the branch office has their planet, will be able to go to war with you relatively easy. So please be aware of that. Let's dive into a game of MegaCorp and see what all of this stuff actually means, because there's a lot of stuff to go through, and we are already 7 minutes in. Mega corporations start very similarly to other empires within the game. You start off with your system, you've got some stuff that you have nearby to explore, and from there on you can go out into the wild yonder. As I've already mentioned before, the empire sprawl that this type of empire has is plus 20 due to the corporate bonus, and in this particular case I added pacifist on top of that due to the bonuses we can get that way. Adding pacifist basically means you get plus 30 admin capacity, which will help you throughout the game to expand, because you're going to need to have that. It's very important for Mega Corporation to have enough empire capacity in order to do the things they need to do and get through the tradition trees and stuff like that. When we take a look at our capital, we will immediately see that we have a commercial zone as the starting building for our empire. This means that we will get 5 additional clerks at the start of the game, and they are listed under the workers here. In this particular case, they will generate plus 18 amenities as well as 22 trade value. That 22 trade value can be instantly converted into 22 energy, or you can use that to get 11 consumer goods. In addition, the additional amenities will make sure that your planet is relatively stable. This means that there is quite a advantage for mega corporations at the start of the game, because they will have a lot larger economy, which means they can translate that to, for instance, selling all their food and selling all their consumer goods and just buying the alloys that they need to quickly expand. The main bottleneck here is influence, but that's pretty standard for any type of empire. We've moved the clock forward a little bit. It's now 27 years into the game, and we have made first contact, which is a good thing because it means that we can sell our product. A mega corporation without customers is, of course, not much of a mega corporation at all. However, the first place we made first contact with was Orbis Customer Synergies, another mega corporation. If we take a quick look here at our contact screen and take a look at the empire in question, as you can see, not only are they overwhelming, they also have something rather important with us, which is a commercial pact. If we have a commercial pact, we can put branch offices on their planets, unless of course they are mega corporations themselves, which is the case in this particular scenario. If we take a quick look at our income, we will see here that we are getting a reasonable amount of resources from are trading. Trading right now, we're getting 53. Part of this is the consumer, or at least the commercial pact that we currently have going on with this other empire. However, there are other customers afoot. The Raxi Codidium Interstellar Hierarchy is a perfect place for us to do business. So let's make first contact with them and see what they have. They are overwhelming to us, but at least, hey, they like us and we can get a commercial pact with them, and they are very happy to oblige. If we do this, we will get 2.58 energy a month, and they will get around 5 a month plus a bunch of consumer goods. And it will cost us 25 influence every single month, but it will increase their trust with us, and we definitely want to do this. Why? Well, it will allow us to build special structures called branch offices. So let's go and confirm this. They are now considering our dealio here with us, and let's take a look and whether or not they are actually interested. Let's take a look. Is it going to happen? Are they going to agree to our suggestion? We're about to find out.
Incoming transmission.
There it is. Yes, and they are now a commercial partner, and we will get certain amount of resources from this. If we now go to one of their worlds, specifically their premium planet, their capital, you will see that there is a little corporate tab in the top right of the screen. As you can see, we can establish a branch office here, which will cost us 2200 energy as well as 110 influence. This has to do with the fact that they are relatively far away, and the further away an empire is, the more expensive it is going to be to have branch offices there. Logistics cost money, and it is important that we keep that in mind. Thankfully, within our empire, there is a bunch of wormholes. Having wormholes and gateways is incredibly useful, especially in the mid to late game, because it will allow us to smatter the galaxy with branch offices wherever we need to. Let's move forward a little bit to the point where we can get a branch office and play around with that concept. Now, once again, we've moved forward a couple years, and I think it's time to put down a branch office in this here planet. There is, of course, the corporate window. We can establish a branch office. Nothing has changed in terms of cost. It's still pretty darn expensive, and let's just establish a branch office. Overall, what will happen here is that we will get 9 energy a month for each branch office. It really depends on the local trade of of every single planet. The higher the trade value of the planet, the more money we'll get from the branch office, which means it's in our best interest to improve the value of the planet as much as possible, because it will increase trade value, especially if we are about to invest 2200 energy as well as 110 influence. 9 energy a month may not seem like a lot, but that will increase over time to hundreds, if not more. Anyway, we will agree to this, and we will immediately unlock this particular window. We have the option to immediately close the branch office. Why you would do this, I do not know. And we can also build corporate buildings. We can build corporate buildings at 25 pops, 50 pops, 75 pops, and 100 pops. Now, these corporate buildings are really the most unique part of these types of empires. Mega corporations have a lot of flexibility and resource generation when it comes to corporate buildings inside of franchises. For instance, we have the amusement megaplex, which will generate 10 energy for us. Yes, the franchise is already looking a lot more interesting. Instead of being able to get 9 trade value a month, we can go all the way up to 20. Or we can improve the branch office value by 25%, which at the start of the game is not necessarily all that great, but it will also add jobs locally. Now, the thing is that every single one of these have job modifiers attached to it. The amusement complex, for instance, does generate amenities, but doesn't generate a job. But the commercial form generates a merchant job. That merchant job is local on the planet. In this particular case, for instance, it will increase trade value as well as amenities on the planet, which will immediately reflect into the value of the branch office itself. Basically, the more trade value we can have locally, the more the branch office will be worth. So all these jobs will add up to the general value of our branch office. Fast food chain will generate 10 food. The mercenary liaison office is particularly of interest because it increases naval capacity, and it also adds soldier jobs locally, which makes it more difficult to invade. However, having additional naval capacity added to our empire is incredibly valuable in case the galaxy is particularly aggressive. PMCs increases the production of alloys. It does have an upkeep of 2 energy, but you don't need to spend any minerals or pops into that, and you get 3 alloys, which is pretty reasonable. In addition, they will generate more jobs, which means there's more trade value to be had, which means, once again, the branch office will go up in trade value. Private mining consortium increases the amount of minerals. Private research enterprises is particularly good because, especially at the start of the game, where you can get a reasonable amount of technology output, +6 of every single tech is, especially at the start of the game, incredibly valuable. The public relationship firm increases the amount of unity, which is of course interesting if you want to go through the tradition trees, especially if you can see at the top of the screen right now I'm only generating +18 science, plus adding +6 to that is a massive boost. Virtual entertainment studios increases consumer goods. I don't necessarily agree that this is a good idea, considering you can use trade policies to get more consumer goods than you would ever want. And there is a couple of additional ones as well, including the Xeno Outreach Center, which will increase your empire's immigration value, which basically means that having one of those buildings on a planet, you will get a more population growth, which is incredibly useful if you want to grow your economy. Still though, in this particular case, we are going to go ahead and build a private research enterprise. It will cost us 800 minerals, but it will increase the value of, once again, the trade value on the planet, but also getting additional research, which is of course incredibly valuable. Now you may be wondering, okay, ASpec, so we have all these branch offices, we can put them down on all of these planets, that's very, very nice, but there are so many empires around with a 0.25 cost when it comes to every single commercial pact. Is this a good idea? Because we are going to need influence to build those franchises, and influence is not necessarily a resource that you have a lot of at the start of the game, especially if you're messing around with factions. Well, I've got good news, because if we go to the Unity tab and then going into Ascension perks, one of the new options that is available to mega corporations is universal transactions, which reduces the cost of branch offices, which is very, very valuable. And on top of that, commercial pacts no longer cost influence to maintain, which is incredibly valuable, and it's definitely a number 2 pick that you want to go for when it comes to your Ascension perks, because it is probably one of the cornerstones of any mega corporations to have these. But yeah, having one of these is incredibly useful because it allows you to get all those franchises and get some pretty crazy bonuses and basically have your empire spiral out of control. In addition, if we take a quick look here at our empire sprawl, currently we can have 60. We have a total of 59 right now. This is pretty much the extent of our empire until we can get more admin cap, because if we will go over, we will get pretty harsh penalties, and we want to avoid that at all costs. Let's move into the future a little bit and see what the empire, what the galaxy looks like about 100 years into the game, and what can happen here, because there is a bunch of very important structures that we're going to need to build in order to make our mega corporation grow, and this is of course part of the expansion as well. Once again, we've moved the clock forward a little bit, and now it's time to talk about subsidiaries. Subsidiaries are special vassal types that come with MegaCorp, and effectively what it allows you to do is to set up a client empire, or at least go to war with somebody to force them into a client relationship. However, I've managed to get myself a subsidiary right here. Welcome to the Human Interstellar Empire. They are a subsidiary of ours, and that is very, very useful, because as a subsidiary under OmniCorp, not only will they be able to get a discount on all of our amazing products, they will also pay 25% of their monthly energy income to us in tribute, which is incredibly powerful. If we go over towards our energy income, we will see here that we get 25 energy, almost a quarter of all of our energy income from our subsidiaries. Now, sometimes you will have to go for a little bit of an aggressive acquisition acquisition on a other company. Call it a hostile takeover, because that's exactly what it is. The Prosnakan Corporation is over here, and we can go ahead and say, hey Prosnak, you guys are really cool. You seem to have a lot of money. We can go ahead and say, hey, we would like to offer you a subsidiary status. Basically what that means is they will become our subsidiary. If we do so, we can go and send that out, and they will most likely decline, which is fine, because, well, when it comes to aggressive takeovers, sometimes you're going to need to be a little bit more aggressive than your standard stock market exchange, because now we can use the subjugate casus belli on this here empire and basically force them to become our subsidiary, which is of course once again incredibly powerful. Of course, we have not done this to our neighbors because they are in a federation with us. I'm sure there will be more about that in the future, but still, being able to go to war with another empire to turn them into a subsidiary is incredibly powerful and should not be underestimated. But do you really want to do that though? Do you want to cannibalize another empire and take away their ability to do things? Well, it doesn't really matter, because you can go into your vassal states and basically say, hey guys, here on Sol, we would like to build a franchise office, which is exactly what we will do. Because yes, if you have a subsidiary and they are not a mega corporation, you can totally use that in order to build more franchises, as well as get all 25% of their energy in return. So in theory, we could go to war with the Raxodisium Interstellar Hierarchy to make them a subsidiary, make them pay 25% of their income, and then build franchises on every single one of their planets. Because business is business, and the spice must flow. But that is not all. No, there is more to be had here with mega corporations, because sometimes another mega corporation will put a franchise office in a place that is something that you are already keeping your eye on. Let's say that the Orbis Customer Synergy builds a franchise office here in the Decorous Knowledge Seekers. Not that they can do so, because they are robots, and robots cannot have commercial packs, but you get the general idea. Well, at this point, you can go to war with them to disenfranchise them and take over the local branch offices, which is once again incredibly powerful. It's effectively economic warfare, except in this particular case, you use your guns. Sooner or later, the Galactic Market will be unlocked, and of course, you can make a bid for becoming the local hub for the Galactic Market, but that is not one of its major points. Of course, you can use that to get more trades and resources that you do not have. However, with Mega Corporation, there is something else as well. If we move over towards the slave market, which some people would rather refer to as the prisoners with job market, we will see that there are certain pops available on the market that we can buy. And considering we are a mega corporation and we are swimming in the cash due to our insane trade value, we can go ahead and say, hey other empires, I understand that you don't want these pops anymore. How about I take them off your hands? Now in this particular case, we are going to go ahead and select the planet that we want to move them to, and then just straight up buy the pops, who will instantly be integrated in our society. Now if you are a egalitarian society, it means that you can take those pops and basically set them free immediately, which is rather useful. If they are under servitude, that's a bit of a different question, but later in the game, of course, you can always go ahead and say, okay, I guess you are now real people, especially with robots. But yeah, here's our pop. He's got full citizenship, very nice stuff, and we can set some rights for them. Cool. All right, let's give him some utopian abundance, which we currently cannot do because we're not egalitarian, but hey, we can at least give them social welfare, because that will make them happier, and more happier pops will mean they are more productive. Of course, it does cost more food and more consumer goods, so do keep an eye on that if you are going to go ahead and get a very large group into a new type of living condition. But all of that kind of comes down to one more thing, and that is a certain thing that my empire is currently building on. Let's take a quick look here at procurement. Oh my. It is an arcology project. What is an arcology project? Well, an arcology project means that we are currently in the process of turning this entire planet into a giant city. An ecumenopolis, a city planet with all sorts of cool bonuses, as well as a massive requirement of population. Good thing that the slave market and or prisoner with job market is here to allow us to fill those slots. But we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to keep that for a video in the very near future, where we're going to go over all the mechanics behind megastructures, the new ecumenopoly, the traders. Yes, there are new traders, as well as a bunch of other cool new systems, including the Shared Burdens Civic. I want to take the opportunity to thank Paradox Interactive for making this video possible, as well as you, dear viewer. Make sure that you click the link in the description below, which will take you to a poll which asks you whether or not you play on console. Thank you also to my patrons for making this video possible. If you want to see more in the future, well, make sure you like and subscribe, but we're going to go and wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take good care of yourselves, and remember, the spice must flow.